Ahoy, Salty Dogs! My name is Lenscap, and welcome back to Project Titan. In Project Titan, in this series, we aim to build a Titan-class ship, but Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither will be our Titan. We're starting small and building our way up through the fleet as we produce various ships of sizes, powers, and abilities, and things like that. So, recently, our most recent project has been this ship I'm standing in the bridge of. This is our frigate for the series. And in our previous live stream, I try and stream about once a week, at least once a week, on Twitch. In our previous stream, we built a kind of skeleton for the ship hull. And I like where it's going so far. It's definitely not ready for production yet. But today I wanted to do a little bit more work on this ship. So this is our frigate class for this thing. Now I don't build like a lot of other people. So I've noticed that most people on StarMade either work their way outside in, starting with the shell first, and build their shell and then fill it with systems and rooms and stuff like that. Or they build the opposite. They build the interior first, and then work their way out, put a shell on that interior. For this ship, I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm building kind of both at the same time. So I built the bridge first, and then we built this skeleton on stream. I like the skeleton. Today we're going to start on a couple of different things. Hopefully we get 2 things accomplished. During our video today. The first thing I want to do is start on some interior rooms. We have a general idea for the shape and feel of the ship. Now we want to put some rooms in. I think what we're going to do first is an elevator that gets from the bridge to the interior areas. And I think while we're doing that, we may take breaks every now and then from the interior as I get like builder's block or writer's block or whatever, and work on some of the exterior details, some armor plating and stuff like that. I do want to start, though, with this elevator. So an elevator is going to be an interesting project for today. And I think it's something we can accomplish with relative ease, since we're only having 2 floors. The first thing we're going to need are some rails and some logic. So let's grab those. We need buttons. We need flip-flops and whatnot. And the shell of an elevator, especially one as simple as what we're building today, is relatively straightforward. We just need a line of rails that go down and then can switch to going up. And that'll be kind of what our elevator rides on. How big does this need to be? I don't know yet. We're going to call it right there for now. And we'll have to throw in some logic as we kind of get to it. I want a few different features for this elevator. So I like automatic systems. I want to use area triggers to both call the elevator to whichever floor you need. And we'll probably have a button that activates the elevator because we don't want to send it down too early. We may use an area trigger for that as well, though. Who knows? I don't know. But let's get started. I think what I'm going to do, because logic is weird and I don't really have a huge plan for this, I think what I'm going to do is build the elevator, or at least put the logic in, and then we'll come back and take a look at what I've done, kind of do this in phases and steps, and I'll try and be concise and clear and explain my kind of methodology as we go through this process. So here's the first little bit of logic in place. It's pretty straightforward. Basically, we have an activator on this top rail. So that's going to detect where the elevator is, or rather where it is not. And whoops. And so if there is an elevator here, if it's at the top, then this rail will be activated. And nothing happens. So what this mechanism does is if there's a not linked to this activator, so if there's not an elevator here, and, that's what this and is, And this area trigger is activated. So you've got this area trigger is next to an activation module. So if this not is true and this area trigger is true, that'll activate this and, which activates this button, which switches the elevator rails to go up. I don't have the down mechanism in place yet, but I wanted to get this in first. Now, to prevent this from acting like a flip-flop, I've got this activation also going into a button, and the button going back into the activation module. That way you don't like accidentally trigger the thing a bunch of times. Or it'll let it go down as well, even if there's someone else standing in the activation field. So I'm trying to make it so that multiple people can be on this ship at once without the systems destroying themselves. So you can watch this, and as soon as we walk into the area trigger, it comes on and then goes off. And that is to summon the elevator if it's not already parked here. The next thing we need to do is wire up the button to send the elevator down once we're inside the thing. And that logic is going to be easier. It's just a button pointing down. We'll also need a door to the elevator to prevent you from falling down the elevator shaft. So I think those are the next two things we need to put in. Alright, so I've got the elevator platform in place. We've got a button here. If we push the button, it sends the elevator down. Now that we know where the platform is and about what shape it is, we can define how tall the elevator is. Looks like it needs to go down 2 more blocks. So that gets it in level with the kind of hallways that we've laid out previously, and I think that'll work just fine. We're going to need to link these blocks all up to the buttons properly. So let's do that. And cool. So let's test our mechanism then. We're in the ship. So now the elevator is not here. So when we walk into the effect area, it should call the elevator platform. And here it comes. It's a little bit slow, but we can adjust that later. So here's our elevator platform. And cool, so that worked just dandy. Next thing we'll need to do is put in a door to prevent you from accidentally walking onto the elevator or into the elevator shaft before the elevator's at the top. So we'll need to do that next. I think probably we'll tie that door to the knot, because obviously if the elevator is not here, the door should be up. Makes sense. Let's get started with that. Alright, the logic for the door is pretty simple. I've got this knot tied into a button, so if the elevator is not up, then this activates and it pushes the door up. Whereas I've got the button tied into, or the activation tied into a button, so if the elevator is up, then this activates and pushes the door down. Super simple. Now we need to build our door, and I think the easiest way to do that is to go ahead and drop the elevator, which will raise the door. So now the elevator's out of the way. If you look at the elevator, you see I left a notch out of the floor, and that's going to be where our door goes. So I'm thinking we'll use orange crystal armor for our elevator door. Let me hop into the core for where the elevator door is going to be, and we can kind of get a feel for what kind of shape this elevator door is going to have. So it's going to be... we need wedges, and they'll need to fit just like this. I don't really have the option for symmetry right now, since I don't have the blocks of necessarily in place. So it's going to be shaped like this, and then we need a quarter slab. That's going to fit in the notch that's cut out of the actual elevator itself. So right about there. Cool. We'll make this go up 4 blocks like this. In fact, just like that looks good. In fact, we don't even need these here. And to be perfectly honest, we could probably do without the notch in the elevator. But let's leave it just in case. And as soon as I can find, there we go. That's the wedge I want. Alright, so now let's test it. So we're going to call the elevator. I need to go back in the other core. Right now the door's up. Let's test the whole mechanism as it should work. So we'll go around, we'll put ourselves in gravity, we'll walk up to the elevator door and see if the elevator shows up. Alright, so here we are in the tunnel. Obviously it's very rudimentary. And here comes the elevator. So we'll wait patiently. We can even back up as we wait. Ah, but the door did not lower, so now we need to figure out why that did not happen. Let's hop in the core and see if we can't look around that. So, what didn't occur? Aha, here's the problem. This rail is not set to down. It must have been linked improperly somewhere. So it needs to go down, and it appears to be facing the wrong direction now as well. So this must have been linked to the wrong thing. So now let's try. Let's hit the button. That'll drop our elevator door. You can see it goes through the elevator just like that. So now we should be able to cross into the elevator. And if we push the button, it'll send the elevator down. And of course we were in the activation spot, so let's try this again. Nope, it's freaking out, but it's working. It's working as we intend, so that's good. I don't know if you caught that, but it is working the way we want it to. It's because we were standing right here. So maybe we need to move these back a little bit further, so it's more evident that we want the elevator, so we can trigger it a little bit sooner. Maybe we'll put the trigger blocks here. We can fill up this entire space with them. That way, if you walk through this at all, it'll call for the elevator. Cool. So that actually was pretty easy. Let's see about getting some armor plates on, and maybe we'll work on some interior rooms if there's time as well. Alright, so here we have one mostly functional and mostly decorated elevator shaft as well. So that's cool. I got some bits in there. Here comes our elevator. All the way up to the top. Door lowers, and you can see kind of the decorative touches I've put on the thing. I think it looks alright. I'm pretty happy with this. And there's not really anywhere that you can like get stuck or like you can screw it up in any way as far as I think. We'll have to player test it with some people who are prone to breaking logic, so I might have to check it out with Jace Machine sometime. Let's go ahead and hit the button, and we'll go down the elevator shaft. And it's a little bit cramped. It's a little bit tight quarters, but I mean, it doesn't have to be fancy. It's a pirate elevator, you know? Okay, for real though, let's do some armor plating. It's starting to come along. This is kind of a labor of love. Detailing ships like this is... It's a weird situation for me, because it always starts off like, this is gonna look like crap, and then I add another layer of detail, and I'm like, okay, that's not too bad, and then I add another layer of detail, I'm like, okay, this is coming along, and it really builds on itself, and gets better and better. I started here at the front, and was not sure what direction I wanted to go, so I moved back to the bridge, and I started doing this, and I got this, like, I started with brown standard, and am working my way up, in detail and armor enhancements, I guess. And I really like this orange bit. It kind of makes it feel like a helmet, like from Halo. If you look at it, it kind of feels like a Master Chief helmet in a way. And that kind of suits. That suits, since I've got the general shape is inspired pretty heavily by the frigates from Halo as well. So I like this. I don't know what else to say, really. Like, it needs a lot more work, but it's a start. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to finish during this episode, but I wanted to check in and show off this little bit, you know, like, and let everybody know, kind of give you an idea for, like, yeah, it sucks for me too. When you first start building something, it just doesn't look very good. But you gotta persevere and work through that, and eventually you'll come up with a shape that you like, and a color scheme that you like. Sometimes just randomly placing blocks comes up with some really cool ideas. I ended up adding like a mouth guard kind of thing, but obviously the big like wow thing that happened is this horn looking shape. So if you look at it like it's a helmet, kind of going for the idea that it kind of looks like a helmet, so let's run with it, right? Let's make it look like a helmet. And so I added a little bit of ornamentation like you might see on a helmet, and I think this did the trick. This is really cool looking all of a sudden. It still needs some touches, we still need a few more like interesting details going on, but I definitely think that's cool. That's really cool. So, let's do a couple more things, maybe some more advanced armor in places. I've been making stripes like this. All my other ships kind of do stripes like that. So we'll probably continue that trend. I've been trying to do it in places where it makes sense. Like these kind of look like little clampy things. So I did that. I thought about doing this whole section, but it just doesn't quite work out. I think the two little clampy things fits better there. This little stripe of gray just adds a little bit of detail where there wasn't any, so it doesn't feel quite as flat. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's coming along. I think this is a very interesting direction, and if I hadn't had that thought of helmet, it looks like a helmet, I don't think this would have occurred to me to go this route. Alright, starting to get some of the small details going on here. I like how this is coming along. I opened up some things and found that there was a block there, an interior block, and I was like, well, we could probably make advantage of that. So I brought some pipes out and connected them, and now they're connected inside as well, so they do something, or at least look like they do. I also wasn't sure what to do with this little bit, so I threw some weird blocks and some stuff, and I think that works too. I used these grates here to kind of work as bracing, and I think that looks pretty cool. A neat little detail. I've been working around this like neck area, quote unquote. If this is a helmet, then this is the neck. And yeah, it's coming along. I think probably once we start getting armor and stuff around here, I'm gonna tear this all up and make it look like if you look at C-3PO's torso, he's got that section with a bunch of pipes and wires and stuff. That's kind of the look I want to go for this area. And pretty much any of the areas that are between the like armor plates. So that's kind of where I want to take that. Up here I've got 4 mounting points for AMS turrets. So we'll have to put some AMS on top there. I think that's a pretty decent spot for some of those. I may have to figure out where to put bigger turrets on this, because I'm not quite sure where the turrets are going to go yet either. But time will tell, time will tell. And, progress updates. What else have we got? The captain's chair now has a proper backing, although I don't have a back for the entire bridge area yet. I'm still not sure what I want to do here. If I want to just kind of end it there and make this like a head sticking out, or if I want to put a room back there. I might put, some things back there. I was thinking escape pods, captain quarters, maybe. That kind of stuff. But this is coming along pretty well. Okay, I think we'll do one more big push of detailing, and then we'll probably end the episode after that. So, some minor tweaks. I put in the AMS turrets. To get them to be able to rotate freely, I had to do some things with this, like, spine on the top. So, yeah, but I think it worked out. I added in some little pipes and stuff, since we want to have exposed, like, systems or pseudo systems. I want it to look like that. So that kind of works. I considered putting the pipes all the way down, but I think the orange looks fine. Down the middle like that. I think that works out pretty well. What else have I done? Just a couple little like weird piddly messing with things. This slabs on the front to give the face guard, if it's a helmet, a little bit more kind of definition there. Pipes all over the place. I tried to get this neck thing working like I was talking about in the last clip. I'm just not really happy with this. Like, it kind of works, sort of. I don't know. I think it could be better, but I'm not really sure what to do about it. Other than like completely redoing it completely, which may be what has to happen. I don't know. Leave your thoughts on this. Your comments in the description. What? Leave your thoughts, your feedback, and all that stuff in the description. Let me know if you have any ideas for this part to make it look more kind of random, I guess. I don't know exactly. More industrial. Yeah, that's the word we want to use. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I think this build is coming along pretty well. Like we got a lot to go for sure, but we spent a long time on a very small portion of it, and but it shows. It looks really cool. Thank you for tuning in one more time, and if you like the video, there's that thumbs up button you can click on. I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay tuned.